Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The tension inside Crimson Lights wasn't loud, but it was heavy. Chelsea Lawson sat at a corner table, fingers wrapped tightly around her untouched coffee, eyes locked on the door like she was waiting for something or someone she wasn't sure she trusted anymore. Because when it came to Billy Abbott, trust had always been a dangerous game. And today, something felt off. The bell above the door jingled, and right on cue, Billy walked in casual, confident, like nothing in the world could shake him. But Chelsea knew better. She'd seen the cracks before anyone else ever did. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She just watched him. Billy spotted her and grinned, sliding into the chair across from her like this was just another friendly meetup. "Chelsea," he said smoothly, "you look like you're about to interrogate me." She leaned forward slightly, eyes narrowing. "Funny, because that's exactly what I'm about to do." Billy chuckled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Okay," he said, "what did I do this time?" Chelsea didn't hesitate. "You're planning something," she said flatly, "and don't insult me by pretending you're not." Billy blinked once, then leaned back, trying to play it cool. Wow, straight to the point, no small talk, no how are you, nothing. "Oh, not today." There was a pause, a long one. Because Chelsea wasn't guessing. She knew Billy, the way his jaw tightened just slightly, the way his fingers tapped against the table, subtle but restless. That was Billy when he was hiding something. And right now, he was definitely hiding something. "All right," Billy finally said, exhaling slowly. "Let's say I am working on something. Why does that automatically make it a bad thing?" Chelsea's expression didn't change. "Because with you," she said quietly, "it usually is." That landed harder than he expected. Billy's smile faded just a fraction. "That's not fair." "No," she shot back, "because last time you had a plan, it blew up in everyone's face, and somehow you always convince yourself it's different this time." He leaned forward now, matching her intensity. "Maybe it is different this time," Billy said. "Maybe I've learned something." Chelsea tilted her head, studying him like she was trying to read between every word he wasn't saying. "Have you?" she asked softly, "or are you just better at hiding it now?" That hit a nerve. Billy's jaw clenched, but he forced himself to stay calm. "You don't trust me," he said. Chelsea didn't flinch. "No," she replied, "not when it feels like you're about to hurt people again." Billy looked away for a moment, eyes drifting toward the window. Because deep down, there was a part of him that knew she wasn't wrong. But there was also something else. Something bigger. Something he wasn't ready to reveal, not yet. "You're assuming the worst," he said quietly. Chelsea leaned back, crossing her arms. "I'm preparing for it." And just like that, the air between them shifted. Because this wasn't just concern anymore. This was a warning. Meanwhile, across town, the atmosphere inside Sharon's house was completely different, but just as intense. Quiet, careful, fragile. Mariah Copeland sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket even though the room wasn't cold. Her eyes were distant, unfocused, like she was somewhere else entirely. And maybe she was. Because trauma doesn't always show itself in obvious ways. Sometimes it lingers in silence. Sharon stood nearby, watching her daughter with a mix of love and helplessness that cut deeper than anything she'd ever faced. She'd been through a lot in her life. But this, watching Mariah struggle like this, it was unbearable. The knock at the door broke the silence. Sharon hesitated for a second before opening it, and there stood Christine. Professional, composed, but there was genuine concern in her eyes. "Hi," Christine said gently, "I hope I'm not interrupting." Sharon shook her head. "No, please come in." Christine stepped inside, immediately taking in the atmosphere. The quiet, the tension, the pain. Her gaze softened when she saw Mariah. "She's been like this all morning?" Christine asked quietly. Sharon nodded. "Some days are better than others. Today," she trailed off, her voice catching. Christine placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We're going to get her through this," she said firmly. Sharon wanted to believe that. She really did. But right now, it felt like they were standing at the edge of something they didn't fully understand. Christine glanced toward Mariah again, lowering her voice. I think it's time we start thinking strategically, she said. Not just emotionally, but legally, mentally, everything. Sharon frowned slightly. What do you mean? Christine took a breath. I mean, we need to build a path forward for her, she explained. One that gives her stability, protection, and control. Sharon's eyes filled with worry. She doesn't feel in control of anything right now. I know, Christine said softly. That's why we have to help her get it back. There was a beat. Then Sharon nodded slowly. Okay, she said. Tell me what we need to do. Christine's expression shifted, more focused now. We start with a strategy session, she said. You and me, we figure out what's best for Mariah legally, emotionally, everything. Sharon took a deep breath. Because this wasn't just about recovery anymore. This was about fighting for it. And she was ready to do whatever it took. At that same moment, in another part of Genoa City, Daniel Romalotti stood alone in his apartment, staring at his phone. He'd read the same message 3 times. And then each time, it hit harder. Mariah needed help. Real help. And the truth was, he didn't know if what he was about to do would fix anything. But he knew one thing for sure. He couldn't just stand by. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, packing the rooms. Because the decision in front of him wasn't simple. It wasn't easy. And it definitely wasn't without consequences. But sometimes, helping someone you care about means giving up something of your own. Even if it hurts. Even if it changes everything. He stopped packing, looked down at his phone again, and then finally, he made his choice. Okay, he muttered under his breath, if this is what it takes. There was no turning back now. Because Daniel was about to make a sacrifice. One that could either help save Mariah or cost him more than he was ready to lose. And in Genoa City, those kinds of choices, they never come without a price. Daniel didn't waste another second. Once the decision was made, the hesitation disappeared, but the weight of it didn't. It sat heavy in his chest as he grabbed his jacket and headed for the door, like something inside him was already warning. This is going to change everything. And maybe it would. But if there was even a chance, just a chance, that what he was about to do could help Mariah, then it was worth it. Even if it cost him. Across town, Sharon and Christine sat at the dining table, papers spread out between them, voices low but focused. This wasn't just a conversation anymore. This was a strategy. Christine had shifted fully into lawyer mode, sharp, precise, thinking 5 steps ahead. We have to consider every angle, she said, sliding a document toward Sharon. Mariah's emotional state is fragile, yes, but that doesn't mean she's powerless. Sharon looked down at the papers, her hands trembling slightly. It feels like she is, Sharon admitted quietly. She barely talks, she barely looks at me some days, I don't know how to reach her anymore. Christine softened just a little. You don't have to do this alone, she said, that's why I'm here. Sharon nodded, but the worry didn't leave her face. What if we push too hard, she asked. What if trying to help her just makes things worse? Christine paused. Because that was the risk, wasn't it? Helping someone heal without breaking them further in the process. That's why we take it one step at a time, Christine said carefully. We build a structure around her, support, protection options, and when she's ready, she steps into it. Sharon let out a slow breath. I just want my daughter back. Christine reached across the table, placing her hand over Sharon. And we're going to fight for that, she said firmly. Just then, the door opened. Sharon turned and Daniel walked in. He looked different. Not physically. But there was something in his expression, something resolved, something heavy. Daniel, Sharon stood up. What are you doing here? His eyes moved briefly to Christine, then back to Sharon. I heard what's going on, he said, about Mariah. Sharon's face softened, but there was confusion too. She's not really up for visitors right now. I'm not here to visit, Daniel interrupted gently. That caught both women off guard. Christine leaned back slightly, studying him. Then why are you here, she asked. Daniel took a breath. Because this was it. No more second guessing. I want to help, he said. Sharon blinked. You are helping just being here. No, Daniel shook his head. I mean really help. There was a beat. And then, I'm willing to make a sacrifice, he said. The room went completely still. Sharon frowned slightly. What kind of sacrifice? Daniel hesitated for just a second. Not because he didn't know, but because saying it out loud would make it real. I'm willing to step back from everything, he said, work my own plans, whatever it takes to be there for her. Sharon's eyes widened. Daniel, you don't have to. Yes, I do, he said firmly, because she matters, and if she's struggling like this, then she shouldn't have to go through it alone. Christine watched him carefully, her legal instincts kicking in. Sacrificing your life isn't always the solution, she said cautiously. Sometimes it creates more pressure for you and for her. Daniel nodded. I get that, he said, but this isn't about pressure, it's about showing up fully. Sharon looked torn, grateful but worried. You could lose a lot doing this, she said softly. Daniel met her gaze. Some things are worth losing. That hit her hard, because she knew what that kind of love looked like. She lived it, and now she was seeing it again. Meanwhile, back at Crimson Lights, the conversation between Chelsea and Billy had reached a breaking point. You're not telling me everything, Chelsea said, her voice sharper now. Billy exhaled, running a hand through his hair. Because it's not your business, he snapped, then immediately regretted it. Chelsea's expression hardened. Right, she said coldly. That's always your excuse, isn't it? Until whatever you're hiding blows up and suddenly it becomes everyone's problem. Billy leaned forward, frustration boiling over. You think I don't know that? He shot back. You think I don't see the pattern? Then why are you repeating it? Chelsea fired back. Silence. Because that was the question, wasn't it? And for a moment, Billy didn't have an answer. He looked at her, really looked at her. And underneath the confrontation, there was concern. Real concern. You think I'm going to hurt people again? He said quietly. Chelsea didn't hesitate. Oh yes, that honesty stung. But maybe he needed to hear it. I'm trying to fix something, Billy said after a moment. Chelsea's eyes narrowed. By doing what? Lying, scheming, going behind people's backs? No, he shook his head, by doing what needs to be done. That's exactly what you always say, she replied. Billy stood up suddenly, packing a few steps. Because explaining it wasn't simple. And revealing it. That might make things worse. You don't understand, he said. Then make me understand, Chelsea challenged. He stopped, turned back to her, and for a split second, it looked like he might finally tell the truth. But then, he didn't. I can't, he said. And just like that, whatever fragile trust was left between them cracked a little more. Chelsea stood up slowly, grabbing her bag. Then whatever happens next, she said, her voice calm but firm, don't expect me to be on your side. Billy watched her, didn't stop her, didn't argue, because deep down, I knew she meant it. And as she walked out of Crimson Lights, leaving him standing there alone, the consequences of whatever he was planning suddenly felt a lot closer. A lot more real. Back at Sharon's house, the atmosphere had shifted again. Not lighter, but stronger, more determined. Christine gathered the papers, organizing them with purpose. All right, she said, we have a plan forming, support structure, legal protection, and now emotional reinforcement. She glanced at Daniel. You're part of that now, whether we like it or not. Daniel gave a small nod. I'm not going anywhere. Sharon looked between them, her daughter still sitting quietly in the other room, her world still fragile. But now, there was something else in the air. Hope, careful, delicate, but real. Because maybe, just maybe, with the right people standing beside her, Mariah could find her way back. But in Genoa City, nothing ever comes easy. And every decision, Every sacrifice, every secret, was already setting something bigger in motion, something none of them were fully prepared for.